years or 5 years is a hell of a long time as well, and it cost that pig farmer a huge amount of money.
Okay, so your sense, though, is that the industry is changing and there is a growing acknowledgement amongst people who are farming pigs in New Zealand that is not appropriate?
Absolutely. The industry is changing and has been changing since 2005. We've been monitoring those changes. We have over half of the industry now out of stalls altogether, either free range or confined in other than sow stalls.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much. Peter Sankoff, can I bring you in here? Because you've written this book about animal law in Australasia. My sense is that the industry's been slow to change, but you might understand that. There's commerce involved, there's an expense in terms of changing farms and all that. But we also have a sense on this program that MAF and Biosecurity New Zealand and agencies like that have not been cracking down on people and have not been bending over backwards to save these pigs from those sorts of conditions.
Well, that's absolutely true. You can look at it both from a legislative perspective and from an enforcement perspective. They've been very slow to move in changing the legislation, and they've created all sorts of exemptions and loopholes that allow this to continue.
Why? Are they being lobbied successfully by vested interests? Why are they so recalcitrant?
There are a lot of reasons, but one strong one is that there is a financial incentive to keep it the way it is, and it is this has been seen for years as the cheapest, most efficient way for farmers to produce pigs.
I understand the financial incentive for farmers. You know, if they can get away with it, they're going to try and get away with it, I guess. What's the financial incentive for MAF and Biosecurity New Zealand and organisations like that who seem to have sat on their hands?
The organisation that's responsible for making these decisions, aside from the Minister, is the National Animal Welfare Advisory Committee. And they've made it very clear that one of their key concerns in drafting these codes that legislate this is economic concerns. As soon as they insert that economic concern as a primary consideration, they allow this sort of thing to go on.
So that economic concerns are over and above animal welfare?
Economic concerns, according to the National Animal Welfare Advisory Committee, are part of what decides what is good animal welfare, which is why today you heard one of the pork industry board chair, he said today that he didn't believe this was cruel. He said it on the radio. He said he didn't believe this was cruel, and that's because they use a very peculiar assessment of what is cruel. Okay. That is a balance of economic and animal concerns.
Chris Trengrove, can I go to you in Wellington and ask you a very simple question? Having seen the footage and having seen some of those pigs, and obviously this is a motive, and obviously most of us aren't exposed to these farms, do you think some of that treatment was cruel?
I think some of that treatment as it was depicted on those photos looked cruel. What I can tell you is that, as I said, we are moving away from these sow stalls, but the code, the welfare code, backed by the best science in the world, is suggesting that the safest place for a sow, for the welfare of the sow, for 4 weeks after she has been weaned,
Chris,
is in the sow stall.
Because for the sake of rational adult discussion, I'm going to give you that. But you know, and I know, and Peter here knows, we're talking about 4 weeks. Those animals are spending way longer than 4 weeks in those sow crates, aren't they, Chris?
Those particular sows are, as I said to you, 50% plus of the industry are out of sows. The other 50% that are in stalls, only a small percentage of those are in stalls for their lifetime. Most of them now have already moved.
Peter Sankoff, can you talk to this? Why is there such a reluctance at large to acknowledge, I guess, without getting carried away, the sort of repugnance that people were feeling when they saw those pictures?
It needs to be acknowledged, and I think what Chris is missing, and what he seems to be saying that the science shows this. Well, the science only shows this when you're talking about intensive pig farming. There are lots of pig farmers who do not use these systems, and they don't have these sorts of problems. It's not like you need these because there is some sort of pig warfare going on where pigs are attacking each other. Proper management of pig farms, as Chris well knows, can avoid the use of any crates. This does exist.
So free-range organic pigs who are wandering happily around the fields and not beating up
Chris
each other.
Chris is talking about intensive farming, and that's what happens in these codes. They set the paradigm where they suggest that, yes, within intensive farms, there's no evidence that it's better. But if you take out the intensive farming aspect, of course it's better, and Chris knows that.
We're just about out of time. Peter, quickly, has the industry and the legislators tried hard enough to protect the pigs from these kinds of
conditions? I think the results speak for themselves. This is legal conduct that you saw. I saw very little in that video that was illegal. It was all sanctioned by our codes that govern. So, I mean, to me, is that good enough? I don't think so.
Peter Sankoff and Chris Trengrove, thank you very much indeed for your time. We really appreciate it, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'd love to know what you guys think of all this. Please email us in.